So, okay. Am I to be heard? Am I heard across the microphone to the speaker? Sound good? Good, sir? Fire. Can you just put it up a bit? Or?
Yeah, otherwise I can hear.
Yes.
Yeah,
closer. Better? This? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. Should be enough. Got a rather loud voice. So hello. Yes, I'm holding this talk on usability in Drupal. I was prepared to have half an hour, so I was quite pleased to see that they gave me an entire hour, but I won't use it all. Rather talk in a bit more relaxed way. So this is quite a big matter, at least to me. I came to Drupal in this 1.5 years, and well, I'm trained as a designer, and if you come to Drupal with the eyes of designer, yeah, that's quite some things to look at, because as functionality is really taking off like a rocket, but I believe that the UI has to get up to this standard. And well, feeling this need, we had a little bird of feathers at DrupalCon Barcelona, and since then there's been some work. I mean, there's been work apart from that, but there's been kind of group concentrating on that, and I've been watching what's going on in the UI, and quite some very pleasing things are going on right at the moment. I come to some examples later, which are quite, give me a lot of hope that things will be very fine. So, okay, let's start. I start with some examples of items that, thanks their great success, I think their good usability. I think everybody knows this one. I believe Apple, I may be corrected, makes still more money on this item than with all their computers and stuff. So that's quite something. And yeah, it is quite a simple device. It's got only one button and all the functionality is there. So we come back later to why it should be so successful. Another one is this one, probably well known. It's also very easy to use if you play tennis or golf or things like this. If you don't lose it and smash your screen. And there are other things that are not quite as easy to use. Well, it might be, sit down somewhere and say fly this plane might be a bit dangerous. And concerning the Wii, well, I once had a basketball game. It was EA Sports Basketball or something. I tried to learn it, and I read the manual, and to me it felt something like this. And that's why things like Wii are really very nice, because you don't have to deal with this anymore. Well, pity is that not too many games available. But it could be. Okay. Let's see. What are factors that make a good usability? Usability, I refer to someone coming to a product, wanting to use it, and having easy access to it. That's what I mean talking about usability. There's show one, you give him something that looks good to him, whatever this means. It can concern color, shape, whatever. So the product is sympathetic. Then you don't make products or software in the vacuum, in the nowhere. There's always been something before it. So just give people something they know where to expect to click. When you go to a website, you always click on the logo, you get to the starting page. That has become a familiar pattern. So if you don't do it, people may be confused. But this is very important. And the third factor is something, I will take up most of the time of this talk, talking about UI patterns. There's a lot to do with how do you get all those little controls that I get an overview quickly. factors to that. What you use to achieve this. As I said before, in pleasing the eye, it's a very emotional thing. And you decide if an object is favorable to you or not. The familiar patterns you use may also be, you introduce them in your software and reuse them, so they get familiar. The other ones are those you have known before, like I talked about the logo you click on. And there's quite a lot to get things on one glance. If you got a lot of items, you got to subdivide them. So it's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you would have stick to very few things on one page, and you cannot always do this. So you group it, and you make some things more important than others, and you just stick down that you don't give too much information to the viewer. Okay, let's see why is this important. And some things date back a very long time, because immediate reaction from you, this, what guys would be, just show this principle. And it's immediate. You see this, and it takes a fraction of a second to decide, is this good for me or not? Can I eat this? Might it be dangerous? Whatever. So the decision, if you like, you come to Drupal, look at it, the decision, you know, it's normally 2 seconds, you say, I don't like it, throw it out the door again. Some people might act like this. So that's why it's so important. Yeah, everyone knows these. Sure which rule this is. Well, it doesn't date back to prehistorical times. But I remember even in the 70s, those were, on my first cassette recorder I had, those symbols were on there. So if you use them, you're dead sure everybody will know them. Maybe some cultures, people don't use it, but yeah. They've been on the Walkman, and they're sure on the iPod. Oh, what does this mean? Yeah, okay. Imagine you go in this room, and slowly it says Unreal Tournament. You know what's about to come here. The player that comes here, it's very vital for anyone to you come to a situation to get things at one glance. You drive with your car, and it's absolutely crucial for your survival that you keep the control and see what's going on and what's important in the situation. So this proves that our reaction is very immediate to this. If something is cluttered and is confused, our immediate reaction is somehow, you can't say panic, but something is not in order. So it's very important that we keep this. Okay, I just want to go back to this one. Why this is so successful? Several of those rules applying to that. They give it a friendly shape with rounded corners. They don't have sharp edges, so you might hurt yourself. Sure, you got those patterns, reuse. It's very simple in it. There are only 3 rules, but I keep on repeating them. And what definitely pleases the eye, they got nice colors, red, green, and it's some kind of fashion product. So that might be a reason. And together with the iTunes application, that makes it so easy to use. And they were somehow very early on the market. So let's see what this means for Drupal. Now we have a look at our regular Drupal form. One of my favorites is the one to add the content type. In Drupal 6 it's a bit improved because there are some collapsible field sets. Those 2 are collapsed normal, but I say it doesn't count for me. And I'm still talking about Drupal 5 a bit because the HUD hasn't changed too much. So this is our form. It's quite long. I think if you measure it in screens, it's about, say, 4 screens long, like this.
Excuse me, is it the Drupal 6 screenshot? Is it?
It actually is, but I unfolded the
okay.
Yeah.
Because it got worse, so it must be better in Drupal 5.
So it's some kind of UI paradigm. I think it's in Drupal to render everything vertically. It's just one after the other. I think it's easy. I think it's also a straightforward way. You could just as well confuse it and throw it all around. No, it's one after the other, and it's all vertical. Yeah, and you see how much space is wasted in the horizontal space, especially here. It's only 1/3 of the screen is used. So it would be quite some work to get it all working, but actually you got maybe 1/3 of the space sometimes is used at all. Also in the horizontal, they could be much closer to each other. Those, I won't go into the help text, they're quite a good thing. It's another topic that would take too long, but if you put them away, they could be even closer to each other. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that long, and you always, well, yeah. In the beginning I had a blister at my fingers from all the scrolling. Lately only you get used to that. So you wonder if you could do without that. The grouping, there was one rule I used, it's quite loose, but there are some lines around it. And here's a blue headline. It's a bit stronger than the rest, but I think the grouping is not very much. It's more or less the same. It's hard to distinguish which object belongs together is more important than the other. It's just one after the other, and you have to decide yourselves which one belongs where. You can't distinguish this from that. You don't know where you are exactly with this kind of glance where you don't read. So, as I said before, it's got some advantages, and it's a very good, it's a good starting point because it's very serial, so you can order it. And working with Drupal in the back end, you always see, yeah, it could be nicer, but always things are often where we expect them to be, and you can work with it quite well. Apart from the hard scrolling experience and things, it's not that bad at the end. And yeah, sometimes modules put in new options in certain of these forms, and you just put them in. And if you had it all worked out quite fine, it would be harder to decide a point, well, you could put your options here. And certainly, you don't have to think about that much. Patterns are well known, and you can keep on using them. So, concerning Drupal, I add some more points to the point 3, as I said, everything at one glance. What we in this group try to do first, and still is important to us, shorten the forms. Optimum would be on one screen, everything on one screen, no matter what form you're on. Also, we got loads of collapsible field sets that aren't bad, but you do 3 clicks to know what's inside. You click, see what's inside, oh no, nothing, I just keep it, click again, and go out. If you change something, 3 clicks. So that's something new coming on. I think I heard it first from Neil Drum, and I think the idea isn't new, that you have outside on some field set, it says, well, it's what is it, the HTML, what do you say, the way you enter it, it says HTML or PHP or something, it could be written on the outside, so you wouldn't have to go inside the field set to see what's going on. And that's summaries. This will come back later. Sure, use a horizontal space. Yes, quite some space on your monitor, more than on the vertical. Most monitors are at least 800 pixels wide, but on the height, you got less. You got 2/3 or even less, depending on how many panes you get at the top. So use the horizontal. And one that's sure is already used, but could be used stronger, that if there's any action, you delete something or you enter something, rearrange it, make it a button, because this is an action. Okay, well, I had to go. It looks quite different, I think, from what Drupal normally does. It was an attempt of mine, just a mock-up of how an admin screen could look like. You see here, well, I implemented a nice drop-down menu because I like drop-down menus. Could be used. So we don't have a sidebar here. We can use all the space for the things. And it's the same form. It's the create content type, and put in all the options, but I left out all the help texts. That may be a bit not fair play, but I did it for the mock-up. And also, using JavaScript, it's highlighting the first one. If you put in your cursor or just hover it, it highlights. We know these things from many web applications. It's not new, this one. You just highlight where you are. So you can black out more the other options. You know they're there, but actually can concentrate better on what you're doing. It's just a mock-up, and I wonder what will become of this, but it was my idea how to solve it. Also, yeah, this highlighting, the grouping is a bit stronger than in regular Drupal. If there are 4 checkboxes, I put them also horizontally, not to use that much space. Here is a new module. I think it was the node profile, something, I don't know. If a new module comes in, it gets a bit shown that this is a stronger division that the module throws in its options. And all in all, it's more grouped. And those fields don't have to be that wide as they normally are. Well, this should be enough. Horizontal space, sure, as I said, even 3. And also, yeah, normally in Drupal, if you put Garland as your regular admin theme, the fonts, for me, are way too big. If you go to other systems, well, you sometimes go to other systems and see what they do. Some products with J at the beginning or whatever, you see they use very small fonts, often for an admin pane, and that's okay, I think, for a regular admin pane, because the admin is somebody who's inside the system. If you don't present it to the user, maybe the user needs bigger fonts because he's short-sighted or something. We want to be accessible for everyone. But I think for admin panes, it is okay to use smaller fonts. So that's something you can use. So this is much bigger way than this. The font is smaller in between. So you have several levels you can navigate on, and then not just 1 or 2. So it could be 3 or 4 different levels, and you scan in and see, well, and now I look to this level, and now I go out a bit and take this as my entity. It helps a lot, even if there is a lot of options, to keep the order. Okay, then this was a nice live demo, but as I couldn't get my computer to work again, did in the morning, I can only show screenshots. This is something that's actually a working demo. It's come out to rework the node form. The node add and edit forms are a bit special case in Drupal because many other systems like WordPress or whatever, they use their backend theme to edit a node. So it's different. You got the entire space and you can control completely as it looks. But in Drupal, sometimes inside some themes, you might have this space maybe no more than 600 pixels wide. And as well, you cannot fully control the colors and everything. So it's quite a challenge to produce something that works inside every theme. So I thought about, and in the end, the normal one, you sure know the normal one, it's got those collectible field sets with these. And what's changed is that this stays in place, and you just click those buttons, and here come the options that you normally have below it. The improvement is, with the collapsible fields, as you go down here, you open it, it's some kind of shifting around, and it's harder to focus what's going on. And it's different now, it stays in place, so I call it the cockpit principle. So you're in that plane, and you've got loads of buttons, but you know exactly where they are. So it's easier to switch it here and there if it stays in place. Well, I would have liked to show it in the live demo, but it just didn't work. I mean, there's a web address in the end, you can look there, it's linked there to see what Bevel does. This is used doing JavaScript, so there's no page reload. Familiar pattern also, we got those stacked buttons here, show it's derived from the normal drop-down menu everybody knows from Word and everywhere. So this is quite a familiar pattern. And it is a bit shorter. especially it comes to if you open the last collapsible feed set, then you see it's shorted. As you see now, it's not that much, but it's much more controlled. Okay, and also the summaries are there. It's just when it's not active, so you can just see, okay, menu settings are going in there. Oh well, yeah, I want to change what is about the authoring information, and is it on front page or not. You don't need to go into this. Okay, now this is a glorious example. It's quite new. And, well, I believe in the middle of preparing this talk, I installed the alpha of Views 2 and said, well, yeah, okay, drop the talk, it's all done. Because it is quite amazing and there's quite a lot of work in this. I don't know when they started on Views 2 UI, but I think it's maybe half a year. I don't know anybody present who knows more about this. There were, yeah?
I can do it?
Sorry? Yeah, I can do it, yes. Okay.
I guess the first sketches were from half a year ago or something, but really that chose this concept is maybe 2 months ago. So.
Yeah.
And Albert,
yeah.
He has been posting on summaries on the groups as well. We kind of try to apply that concept to use to
So you've been active in that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, somebody will. Yeah, and I think there were quite some mock-ups and some were thrown away and take the best ideas, so it's quite a process of keeping the best things. And as you said, putting some things in that was thought otherwise, so there's a lot of people who actually contributed to this now. And I hope it will be a sample, but Drupal will be live. Because everybody knows the old view screen. If I expand the old view screen here, I think it will be that wide, I don't know. It's very long. So it's different now. We got those summaries here. So you see, come here and see everything. What is there? You don't need to open anything. And also group nicely. As I said, the grouping is stronger here. If you go back without the red lines, because there's some space around it, here's a bit of blue behind it. So it's easier to see that those are groups. And it's easy for you to focus on one or another group. Yeah. Also, when you're actually editing something, it gets color, sometimes yellow. And so you know you're actually editing this one. So this yellow draws your attention there, but not too strongly. It's just, yeah, matter of balance. So you're not totally focused on it, but it helps a lot, you know, I'm actually editing this one. Also the font size is used quite well. It could be used, for me it couldn't even be used better, but it's different. You got black one, it's a blue one, so it's all different. And you see those belong together here. And then the color blocks, this is sure the one that gets the biggest weight. This is second, and this is third. So there are many levels on which, but you always have to, you come there and you look there and you always know where you're looking. It's quite easy to find something. If you're looking for this kind of bar, you know this is the pane I'm actually editing. So that's what you need. You always, with a quick glance, can find where to click. So you will be much faster on clicking on it. Yeah, I forgot those nice buttons here. And this is reusing a familiar pattern. It's the plus sign. It's used very often in any kind of UI. So you click on it and you're adding something. And this is one for rearranging them. I think the old one, there was a funny button in Views 1 for deleting. I don't know, it should have been a trash bin or something. It took me quite a while to figure out. So it's not used anymore. Okay. Another quite nice example to me is the translation server. And there's, I think there's some people present here involved in that. And we have been actually working with it, and we can say it's a very good piece of software because it has been very much faster, the translation of the German Drupal. has been very much faster with it because so many people could work together on it. It's really great. So, what do we have? We got those nice buttons here that show what can be done. So every button, if you click in it, normally something should happen. So the buttons represent actions, and they, I like the colors they are in: orange, blue, quite active colors. And if they're, it's concerning the, not everybody will know this. All the strings inside Drupal call and module something are lined out. Here's the string, the actual English string. Yeah. And if there is no suggestion yet, I think it's great. Question mark. And if somebody adds suggestion, so it turns orange. So even if it's closed, you know there's something inside here. So before you click on it, you know there is a suggestion, and I can look if it's written well. So this is quite good. And there's more use of color. I didn't completely analyze this, but it's quite a bit of use of color clarified. And also, if you got this, the buttons help you to decide, oh yeah, this is the next proposition, and this one and this one. So you can jump quickly from this point to this point. They wouldn't be here, it would be quite lost on this page. So it's quite simple and effective, the use of this color to help you orientate in this UI. Well, to me, from the first point, I found the buttons were a bit too strong, so it's not so easy to concentrate on the text because they attract you so strongly, especially when you're here. You always want to look there. You have to force your eye a bit to look at the text. This could be improved, that is a bit more balanced. But yeah, that won't be too hard to do for me, for the people, actually doing it. I won't do that. Okay, yeah, and the horizontal space is not used very much. It's just vertical as in Drupal, but there is one very interesting mock-up. I haven't analyzed this a lot, but you see what's quite easy to do. It uses horizontal space, it divides it by columns. So in the best case, you use the space more effectively. Then there are lots of buttons around here and lots. Well, it's just to show that interesting things are going on. And concerning the weight of the buttons, this is to me a bit better because here's some blue color and it's a bit more balanced. Maybe they could be stronger now, but whatever. I think they will make a good decision and make good work on the good use of this. Yeah, okay. This is one matter that will be raised, especially with, I think the Drupal community sometimes, yeah, I think it can be quite purist. So they say, JavaScript, we won't use that. Some people can't use it. So, yes, nearly almost every usability improvement I have seen uses Ajax, and quite a lot of it. Yeah, and you use it heavily. Some things won't even work. But what I did, I went to a competitor with the J in the beginning and looked at that nice backend. You know, Joomla's got this nice drop-down menu. So I tried it and just switched off JavaScript. And guess what happened? Sure, there was no drop-down anymore, but even the top-level menu didn't work anymore. So if we offer a UI that is very nice with JavaScript, and the JavaScript turnout is barely usable, I think it's quite a good thing. We do quite a good job then. So if you surf the web and see shiny and with a lot of high gloss the web applications, there are always a lot of use of JavaScript. So I think it's okay. If you think of someone, if you give them something they can use, if it's switched off, it should be okay, at least to me. So yeah, those are the two important URLs. The usability group, where at least we comment on everything that's happening. But there's also some action going on. like Alan Pritt, who's involved in this, or is there, and Bevan Rudge, who's been coding the Node at an edit form, is busy there, and it may be more of a kind of central place where things for all the threads come together, but I think actually it's quite a busy place. And certainly the drop, because if you want to get involved and interested in this, if you're whatever, coder, designer, information architect, some of the tasks are now written out as drop tasks. You can get points doing it. I don't know if it's karma points or anything, but you get points and can be top contributor. And it's really, really fun, I think, and worth visiting. So, yeah, I think that was it. Thank you. So, as we have quite some time left, so if there are any questions here, okay?
So the same button, I have a interesting problem with the same button because it's always on the bottom of the page, and it should be always available on the screen to be able to say directly what to change and not wait until you change everything and decide if you save or not, and you don't remember what to change because there were so many options. So I think the save button should be on always visible on the screen, either on the top, on the bottom, or it should appear when I change an option, appears somewhere.
Yeah. This has been thought about. Where's the save button? I think in Drupal it's deliberately put at the bottom so people don't miss anything, but it could as well be on the top. For me, save button could be on the top, or I understand you should be in several places. All through the, well, as the form is shorter, maybe not be too many places, but yeah, it shouldn't have to be at the bottom. Somehow, it's this cockpit principle would say all the buttons should be always visible and should be at least at the top or even front. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of usability development going on for Drupal 7 and these two, right? So do you plan anything like an installable module which will transform our node forms in Drupal 6 or Drupal 5?
I mean, what's being done in this the node form is this would just be I think JavaScript up to this. So it's quite this is quite a low weight, low fat version. So
we can install it on Drupal 5, Drupal 6, or Drupal 7, or what's the target?
Well, I think what this heading is to go right into core. I think if it gets there, it's quite ambitious, I know, but that's what it's heading at. But there's an alternative solution to say, well, install a module, go to contrib, and see if people like it, which could be the better way. Yeah.
That could be a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, how does the horizontal scaling work when you have a Wi-Fi monitor? It's nice to have a lot of information on screen, but when you have a smaller screen, like embedded systems, etc., you just introduce a lot of scrolling direction. So when your screen is just smaller than all the information you stacked up, going under your information, or did you have increased another sort?
We got to plan this thoroughly. I think you have to plan for 800 pixels. It has to work on 800 pixels. But if people have an even smaller screen than that, well, it's hard anyway. But I think that's about what you got to do. So that's two different things.
And I don't think it's fluid in that sense that it could stack multiple blocks on top before having another bunch.
Yeah, it's rather fixed. Yes.
So the idea is that you're putting out a module that's going to give us these possibilities, or
what? Well, what I showed you this form for the add a content type. This would be part of a complete admin theme. what is planned definitely to have an administration theme, which probably has to go through Contrib, but it would be nice to have a dedicated theme that is only for admin purposes, like any other CMS has. I think Drupal is quite an exception in that you can install different themes for admin. And yes, this would be part of a complete concept, not isolated, but you have to do it consequently in every form, otherwise it's no use there. So, okay, I see no other questions, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. In 25 minutes there will be another presentation by another Thomas Bonten.